What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Spider-Gwen. After level 80 Spider-Gwen, I thought I'd do a little comparison between Shadowshell and Spider-Gwen to give you guys an idea of how strong Spider-Gwen is compared to Shadowshell, because Shadowshell is actually an amazing character, a very, very strong character, and they don't have exact builds, but they have very, very similar builds to give you guys an idea of just where Spider-Gwen actually stands, at least against Shadowshell. So Spider-Gwen has 54,875 physical attack, whereas Shadowshell has 42,000. Now, this is something that I can't help. Spider-Gwen just has natively higher physical attack stats than Shadowshell, as you guys will see as we look through the rest of the build, right? And Spider-Gwen also has max attack speed, or critical rates at 46%, or critical damage at 185%, and her ignore defenses at 45%. Well, whenever we take a look at Shadowshell, her stats are, critical rates at 45%, critical damage at 193, ignore defense at 45%. They're pretty similar for the most part. They're not exact, but something I want you guys to notice is that Spider-Gwen actually has the leadership tag. She can actually use White Fox. Now, in the comparison I'm going to be doing today, we're not going to be using White Fox with her as a support. We're going to use the exact same team for both Shadowshell and Spider-Gwen, so you can see exactly what the differences are between these two characters as far as their damage is concerned. Now, when it comes to the Urus, guys, we just have 4 physical attack Urus, and these Urus are just 5-star. Well, if we go to Shadowshell, it's going to be the same scenario. All physical attack Urus and all at 5 stars. So exactly the same, and that's what I mean by Spider-Gwen just has natively higher physical attack than Shadowshell. Skills are all at 6. There's nothing different about their skills. The ISO 8 set is a stage 6 overdrive set, whereas with Spider-Gwen, it's a stage 6 power bank recall set. So we're getting the same set effects for both of these characters. Neither one of them have an artifact, and both of them are going to be using a CTP of energy. Now, one difference between them is that Shadowshell is going to be using a mighty CTP of energy, and there's a reason for that. This thing gives her an extra 12% attack, right? Now, she get the critical damage by 30%. She's going to get the damage proc by 200%, whereas Spider-Gwen doesn't have a mighty honor, right? She is just using that increased basic damage by 200% for one attack. And even though Shadowshell has that extra 12% attack on her CTP of energy versus Spider-Gwen, Spider-Gwen still has more natively higher physical attack. Now, here's where another difference is going to be. Spider-Gwen has a mythic uniform, whereas Shadowshell has a normal uniform. And that's why I have a mighty CTP of energy on Shadowshell, right? Because the uniform effect, or not the uniform, but the stat effect is 50% attack on a normal uniform, 15% attack. Whereas on a mythic uniform, you're actually going to be getting 25% attack. So Spider-Gwen's getting an extra 10% attack from the uniform, but Shadowshell has a mighty CTP of energy that is giving her an extra 12% attack, right? Another 2% more, because we do have an extra physical attack here and here on Spider-Gwen. So I tried to make this as even Stevens as I could. I tried to make it as fair as I could for both of them. And when it comes to playing with both of these characters, guys, I'll show you the exact rotation I'm doing. Now, I'm going to show you a couple little rotations with Shadowshell, because her rotations do vary a little bit, but with Spider-Gwen, it's best to actually delay her awaken skill. So if you delay this thing, drop them down, they throw the webs up, and then go into the 3, 4, 5. That's where you're going to get the most damage out of Spider-Gwen. That's really the best way to queue her up. You got to be really careful with the awaken skill, however, to proc her accurately. Now, with Shadowshell, I used to play her a certain way, right? And I'm going to show you both ways to show you the difference in damage, so you guys have a nice idea of how this actually works. So you can actually do this a couple different ways with her. You can actually go 3, 4, 5, awaken skill, right? Although the proc does tend to trigger a little early, because that 4 will trigger that proc pretty quick. But this is the way that I found that I do the most damage, is by going 3, 4, 5, awaken skill, and then just going 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5 afterwards. Now, I'll also show you guys where I use the awaken skill and then just go 3, 4, 5. But a lot of times when I do that, you notice that the 4 didn't kind of trigger there. But if we go awaken skill 3, 4, 5, that does really, really well as well. And that's usually the way that I would play her. But after I did this little comparison, I found out that when I procced on the awaken skill, it just seemed like I would do more damage versus, proccing on the 5 after using the awaken skill. So let's take a look at this little comparison, guys. We're actually going to be going against stage 84 No, way up there where we can use humans, right? But hopefully this will provide you some more insight as far as, whether or not you really want to level up Spider-Gwen. And again, I could use White Fox for Spider-Gwen. That would make all the difference in the world, guys. 65% increase to boss types, the increased attack to all allies. She does have ignore dodge, but that's not really a big deal considering that both of these girls will be at level 80, or Spider-Gwen would be at level 80. That's not really a big deal, but the increased attack and the increase to boss types is massive. This is a huge buff for Spider-Gwen, whereas Shadowshell doesn't have it. That's something you should keep in mind if you are wanting to level up Spider-Gwen, or if you're thinking about leveling up Spider-Gwen over Shadowshell, because Spider-Gwen actually can take advantage of White Fox. Now we're going to be using the same exact strikers for both of these runs. So let's pull it up for you guys right now and let me show you what's going on here. All right. So the first little thing I'm going to show you guys is the damage that Shadowshell does whenever you delay her awaken skill, and just go 3, 4, 5, right? And originally I actually did this comparison whenever she just did the, awaken skill 3, 4, 5, right? So we got the proc, landed proc both times. And look at where this thing lies, right? So you're looking at this, guys, and it's down to just a little bit below the 56th bar. Now, I want you to pay attention to how much damage she does whenever we proc on the awakened skill, okay? So we're going to have a little split screen action going on, okay? You can see that Spider-Gwen's on the left, Shadowshell's on the right. I'm going to go ahead and pause it so you guys can see how much damage we actually do in 2 solid rotations, right? Because a while ago, we did 3, 4, 5 three awakened skill, 3, 4, 5. And then 3, 4, 5. But here you can see that we actually are doing more damage. We're down to the 54th bar, right? So we did almost 2 bars more damage by proccing on the awakened skill for Shadowshell instead of proccing on the 5th skill after doing the awakened skill. So that's why I'm going to be doing the rotation for Shadowshell, as you guys will see in this comparison. And let's do it. Let's do it, right? Let's see what happens here, okay? Now, both of these girls get caught in the cage the very first time the cage shows up. The second time the cage shows up, neither one of them get caught. So it's pretty much identical. Now, I do believe that I do end up missing the proc on Shadowshell because when I'm playing with my controller on my emulator, guys, and I don't know, sometimes it seems like her 4 kind of sticks a little bit. It's a little weird, whereas Spider-Gwen, there's no problem. Like, it's really easy to keep the proc where it belongs. I think I might have missed the proc maybe one time, maybe with Spider-Gwen, but that would be about it, man. For the most part, she's very consistent. And I would say if you're proccing on the awaken skill on Shadowshell, that Spider-Gwen is actually more consistent than Shadowshell. And I think that's really where the difference lies, other than the fact that Spider-Gwen can actually use White Fox's support. I mean, that is a big difference, guys. Like, seriously, if I was using White Fox support, it would make more of a difference. And we'll just look at the damage in the first phase without White Fox's support for Spider-Gwen, and then maybe I'll do a run after this little comparison to show you what she does with White Fox. But let's take a look here. We're just about there. Okay, so Spider-Gwen is actually finished the first phase in 1 minute and 30 seconds. 1 minute and 30 seconds, whereas Shadowshell still has, about 6 bars to go. So, yeah, you have that, right? And we're not using White Fox's support, right? We're not using it. And I really do feel, guys, that's the real thing about Spider-Gwen versus Shadowshell. The real difference is the fact that I just feel like Spider-Gwen is just more consistent. Not to mention that Spider-Gwen has a much easier uniform to level up versus Shadowshell, right? I mean, Shadowshell is kind of an expensive character to level up a uniform, whereas Spider-Gwen isn't, right? She just isn't. She's a much more free-to-play character to work on, to level up. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I can play a little bit more aggressive with Spider-Gwen also than Shadowshell. I feel like Shadowshell is a little bit more fragile, but I mean, still does really good. I mean, we're using a debuff leadership, and that just makes all the difference in the world, especially due to environmental attacks. Now, I'm not going to try to finish this fight, guys. I'm just going to show you, like, whenever we go to the very last phase, what the difference is in the damage between these 2 girls. And it really isn't a massive amount, as you guys can see. It's not like Spider-Gwen's blowing Shadowshell out of the water. It's not like she's completely destroying her. She's not. They're pretty equal for the most part. I just feel like Spider-Gwen has more consistent procs, and I think that's really where the difference is. I just feel like, you know, you're going to do more damage over time because you have more consistent procs instead of a character that you might miss proc every once in a while. If you're playing with Shadowshell and you're using her awaken skill and you go 3 4 5 awaken skill 3 4 5, if you're doing that rotation, you can land the proc every single time. And I actually did a full run like that, and I did more damage by, you know, doing it this way where I procced on the awaken skill. Even if I missed a couple procs, I still did more damage in this actual comparison that you're watching. So there is that, right? But we're narrowing down. We're getting there. Just about got it whooped up. It's honestly pretty amazing that we're doing stage 84 with these girls. It's very, very high up in against Null. So I mean, it's pretty wowzers, guys. It's pretty wowzers. All right. So we're trying not to take any damage here. We got a Spider-Gwen way over to the left side there, hopefully avoiding everything. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it after we go to the very last phase on the left side, all right? And then boom, right? So as you guys can see, right, we did 4 bars more damage in around the same amount of time, right? A little more time actually has passed for Shadowshell versus Spider-Gwen. We got a minute 06 left on the left, and we have 59 seconds on the right. So maybe that would have been even another extra bar or something like that for Spider-Gwen. So you're looking at, you know, maybe 4 or 5 bars difference. But again, I do believe that I missed a proc maybe a couple times with Shadowshell. That does make a difference. I do feel like these girls are fairly equal. I just feel like Spider-Gwen is just more consistent with her procs. I just feel like she's just a lot easier to play versus Shadowshell. But let's go ahead and do a little run where we use White Fox and see what happens here. All right, we're going to use the exact same strikers as I did in the comparison I just did for you guys. All right, so I'm going to do that again because I wasn't happy with what happened in that run. I actually missed the proc a couple little times, which is kind of surprising, but it did happen. So let's try that again. All right, so we're going to bring down the awaken skill. There we go, and we landed the proc perfectly, right? Okay. All right. Nice. Landed the proc beautifully. Now, we got caught in the cage in the first run in that comparison that I showed you guys. And here, I think we might have missed the proc just now. I'm not really sure. Come on. There we go. Okay. Nice. Landed that proc beautifully. Okay, now we need to get back here. We're going to try to avoid that cage. Do a little back and forth. Hopefully we avoid it. We did not avoid it. So we got caught in the cage twice, right? So we lost another, 4 seconds or so. Oh, yeah. And definitely having White Fox makes a difference. It makes such a difference, guys, in your damage. I mean, look at this. And voila, right? So, I mean, it shaved off 15 seconds. And if I wouldn't gotten out of the cage, if I would got caught in that cage, this would have been, about 3 minutes and 50 seconds, right? So it would have shaved off almost 20 seconds compared to not having White Fox on the team. That's the kind of difference that it makes having that girl on the team. And that is a big benefit for Spider-Gwen versus a character like Shadowshell. So I gotta say that, guys, that I think Spider-Gwen is really the best choice because whenever you look at the tags, you have agility here, right? And you have the leadership tag also. Whereas with Shadowshell, you have the agility tag, but the Warriors of the Sky and the Poison really doesn't make any difference at all. And World Boss Legend and PvE is really where it's going to be at for these girls as far as getting it done in the game. And if you guys want to see a comparison between Spider-Gwen and Gamora, I can do that. I can do a comparison. However, with my Gamora, she's just better built. She just has a fully awakened Ice Away set. That makes a huge difference in damage. But if you want to see it, I can try to queue that up for you. But let me know what you guys think about Spider-Gwen. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. TT+7 time. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See everybody. Take care.